Dan my kant. Dis maar daai son is rof soos in die ou dae.
Ja, is reg manne. Lekker son in Munster, né?
Super, ek moet dit gewy. Dit is toch nie son nie, hoor.
Ons net die lig aan afsit.
Sammy, dink jy ons moet daai gordyne toemaak?
Asseblief man, as jy kan.
Ja, ons wil net wys daar is son, ek wil.
Ek gehoor dit was baie donker soos 9:00 se kant vanoggend al was dit nog steeds donker. Hier, nou is dit donker hoor. Ligte aan.
Ligte aan. Kom dit?
Nee.
Wat sê jy nou? Hier.
Julian weet nie hoe sy kom.
Ja, sê. Bietjie gesê lekker romantiek also.
Ons kom hier in die kamer, ons. Ek sien daai lig al. Is dit daai daar, Sammy?
Ja, dis perfect, James. Like goed. I'm gonna let the other guys in now. Maar kan ons begin?
Okay, ek wil net Kriel se biceps inkry, dis die belangrikste.
Ek weet jy aan.
Sammy. Ek dink almal kom in nou.
Die man is al in. Yes, kan jy hoor?
Ja, as dit okay is met almal, as ons 10 oor kan waai, ons ding begin 15:15, so dit gee ons net tyd om af te kom by ons walk toe. As
Ja,
dit
that's
reg
fine. No problem.
Thanks.
All right, gents, can you hear and see us? Or can you see the guys in Munster? Jan,
You can see them.
Ross.
Yes, you can see in here.
We can say
perfect.
that it's a rumor that there's no sunshine. There is some sunshine.
All right, guys, I'll kick us off by just asking the gents firstly. Gents, how are the conditions over there? Everybody settled in nicely? Jules?
Yeah, I think we had 3 travel groups traveling at different times to get here, but everyone is safe. And yeah, the guys had a good evening last night and then a good morning this morning. So we, like I said, after this, we've got a meeting and then team session. So then we'll be able to tell you what it's like training in the conditions. But it's actually not looking bad. Like I said, there's a little bit of sunshine. We had to close the curtains behind us because the sun's actually out.
Jakes, did you have a good night's rest?
Yeah, definitely. After a 32-hour travel, a bed is always your friend. So yeah,
Always his friend.
so they had a good rest and yeah, just getting the body going again.
All right, great. All right, guys, let's get down to business. Okay, I'll hand it over to the journalists that we've got online. By raise of hands, can we kick it off? Jan, do you want to kick us off?
Hello.
Yes, Jan.
Hold on.
You on mute, Jan? Yeah, you're on now. No. Unmute.
Try and unmute me.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks. Okay. Can you guys my now hear?
Okay, as you were, partner.
Loud and clear. Go
Thanks,
for it, Jan.
Sorry guys, my mute button's not working on my side. Jaco, from a player's perspective, I know it's probably a question that's going to come up a lot. What makes a difference? I mean, we've seen the Lions play some really good rugby on tour against European teams. I mean, we saw that game against Start, and then we suddenly see the games against the Stormers and the Sharks. And what makes a difference from a player's perspective that the guys can lift themselves to that level and beat top European teams, but seems to struggle against South African teams?
Yes, Jan, that's a very good question because we've been trying to figure out the same thing a couple of weeks. So, yeah, just from a team environment, we spoke about it the other day. On tour, there's no external distractions. I won't call family or wife distraction or whatever, but yeah, the guys only have themselves. And yeah, it's bonding on tour, and there's nothing else to do than to get to know the guy next to you. And yeah, and you can only use that excuse for so long because yeah, it's not the first tour that this group has been on together. So we have to start shifting at our home games as well, or back in South Africa. Yeah, we spoke about it. They always say no, we struggle against South African sides, and it's actually sad to see because it's never been the case. I just think it's a mental shift from the player side that we have to believe we can beat them.
As a follow-up to that, how important is it then for the Lions to win this week and get that proverbial monkey off your back?
Yeah, definitely. They always say if you want to go to playoffs in any competition, you have to win your home games. And at this stage, we're not really winning our home games. So away games is so much more important. And yeah, Munster is actually on a good spell, so it's going to be a very tough game this weekend.
Thanks for that, Jan. Next up is Ati.
Hi guys, compliments of the new year. Just wanted to pose this question to you guys as to again, following Jan's question, I think the first one, as to where do you see the Lions right now in terms of the South African franchises ecosystem? You know, you guys seem to be at the bottom there. You know, why hasn't again you guys have failed to sort of match up with the Sharks, Thomas, and Bulls in terms of you know, being competitive, you know, within that local derby sphere? And again, looking into the weekend game, just how important is it again to avoid the defeat in the URC on the trot, because you know how detrimental it can be looking at the log standings.
Jules, you want to take that?
Thanks, Sammy. Yeah, I think like Kriel just said, I think it's a great question, and it's a question we have to ask ourselves. It's been a year since we last beat a South African team in this competition. I think if you do think unemotional, it is great teams. If you look at where the SA teams ended up last year in the first season playing in this competition, it was 1 and 2, and then the Sharks was also in the playoffs. So it is good teams that we do play against. We find ourselves in a tough competition, or in a tough conference, if I can call it that. But I will agree with Kriel when he says it's a mental thing. I think one thing that we find is when we play against South African teams, they call the players on their names, and when we play against foreign teams, it's be playing against the lock or the 6 or the 10, because you know the players well, and I think it boils down to belief, believing we can play against those guys, believing we can beat them. And like Kriel said earlier, we went, well, how long was it, where we were unbeaten against any South African teams a couple of years ago. So it's not something that we don't know. I think someone mentioned it earlier, we got to get the monkey off the shoulder. It's going to take one good game of us to get rid of that belief system and start building a new belief system.
It's all about belief. Ross, do you wanna Ross, you next?
Thanks very much, Naniso. How's it, guys?
Hello, Ross.
Julian, look, obviously, you know, the depth at the Lions, you guys don't have too much depth, and losing two big props in Ruandra and Steve Sitole for this tour must be quite the blow. How has it been, you know, sort of trying to get the guys up to speed there in the front row department, you know, to take over from those guys? And how's a guy like Morgan Nordie coming along, who hasn't played that much for the Lions, and, you know, actually getting a big shot now on a big tour?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Ross. I think what's lucky is if someone misses out, there's always someone else coming in, and these guys train really hard and keep fit, and it's actually a tough one as a player if you don't play, and then when you get your chance, you actually feel like shit, these guys, they're getting their opportunity now. So it's been good to see Asa standing up and filling in that tight head spot, and actually it's growing each week. So that's been good to see. Morgan last week coming off the bench, and Lou said getting his chance, it's also good to see. I think it's great when you do have your senior props, because the guys learn from them quickly, and I think that's the benefit when these guys get their opportunities. They've had the opportunity to learn from the senior guys, and then they can get the game time, and the game time is what will really make you go better. So and it's a great test for the guys playing in Munster against Munster. On tour is going to be great. The Munster pack has done well recently, so it's going to be a massive challenge, and we all know you don't grow when it's easy, you grow when it's tough. So that's going to be lucky for the guys, is just to get better and better in these conditions.
Thanks. And sorry, one more from me, Nyani. So, Jaco, obviously the guys have mentioned, you know, how tight the log is and how important these games coming up are now. You know, you guys were 5th before the two fixtures against South African oppositions. You're now down in 11th, and Munster are on their way up. You know, they lost by 1 point against Leinster. They beat Ulster away. So very tough game. How are the guys feeling in the camp, and are they really fired up to try and get another one over Munster like you guys did last year, although that was at home?
Yeah, Ross, thank you. It's a really tough one. I really believe throughout my career I believed if you look at the log too much, you're gonna put yourself under pressure. As you just said, it's a tight lock. We went from 5th to 11th in a matter of 2 weeks. So for us, we have to take it week by week, and we always said, no matter where or when we played, if you take it week by week, game by game, the log will look after itself. And I think if you get sidetracked by the log, you're gonna not focus on the job at hand. And obviously, speaking about the previous Monster game, I believe they're gonna be up for this game because they probably feel they owe us one because of the previous result. But they're really a team that's started out difficult, but as you just mentioned, the last couple of results and the way they play, it's a huge improvement to the start of the season.
All right, guys, we've got 2 minutes. Jan, I'll give you the final one before we release the guys for team meeting.
Thanks. This one's for Julian. Julian, how much do you guys know? I don't know if Jaco's played there, but how much do you guys know about Musgrave Park? I think it's a first for the team.
Yeah, I don't know who in the team has ever played there because most of the time they actually play in Limerick. So I don't think Munster guys have even played there too much. But yeah, it's gonna be new for us. But like we've said earlier, it's almost like our team does well with new and the unknown and being on tour. So we off there. I think we have captains there tomorrow, so that's the first time I think 100% of our team will be there. So it's going to be interesting, but I do think it's something that it's not a negative in our side. It's going to be a positive for us.
Is it a normal grass pitch or astroturf?
So all 4 games on tour is going to be on the artificial pitches. So it is something that we don't even have in South Africa. Normally the guys with struggling joints do struggle a little bit more on the artificial pitches. So it's something we get used to. I think it helps because at least you have a pitch that's in a good condition when you play in these conditions here.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, colleagues. Jakes, Jules, have a good session today.
Can I sneak more in?
Yeah, quick sneaky one, eh? Sneaky. Otherwise, the guys are going to get fines.
Thanks very much. Jaco, just another one for you, man. With you guys having quite a long injury list, how important has it been for the more experienced guys like yourself, like Willem, who've had this experience in Europe before and that kind of stuff, to sort of help lead the guys? We've got a lot of youngsters in the group, and then you've also got a guy like JC who's coming from the Blitzbox for the first time now. How's it been from your guys' side on that perspective?
No, definitely. We all knew it's going to be a tough competition with the European and the Challenge Cup that's joined the URC this year. And with a couple of injuries, your depth has really been tested. So just to keep the guys calm and to make sure the whole squad is on the same page and know what to do, when to do it. I believe if your detail is there and the system supports the players, it will make it much easier for the younger guys to slot in and play a better game. As we saw, Jared came through, played a lacquer game this weekend. Can't wait to see JC play. All of these guys will hopefully get an opportunity on tour to prove their worth. And it's up to the more senior guys to support those players, to give them all the equipment they need and all the tools they need to be the best player they can be in this competition, because it's a really tough competition. It's world-class players that you play against.
Tough competition indeed. Jakes, Jules, you guys have got 3 minutes before your team meeting. Colleagues, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks very much, guys.
Bye, Donkey.
Cheers,
Bye. Bye.